Last night is the worst loss of the Yankees season, and maybe one of the worst losses I can remember in a long time. This is not just a regular loss. With everything that's gone on the last month with the Yankees, with all the negative surrounding this team, everything that happened Friday night, which after I yelled about the changes that need to be made and the things that need to be different, Friday night was one of the worst losses of the year. Clay Holmes blows it in the ninth. All the Yankee talking points, right? The Yankee fan talking points. Clay Holmes blows it in the ninth. Anthony Volpe and DJ LeMahieu make lazy plays on the base paths and then get excused for it by Aaron Boone. Everything that makes Yankee fans furious happens on Friday night. But guess what happens Saturday? Ben Rice, magic, right? This young kid, a rookie who he's not even that young, but the rookie comes up, he saves the season, right? He hits 3 home runs in a game. You're feeling good. It's against the Red Sox. And finally, now you're at the point where it's like, all right, okay, this has been terrible for weeks. This has been awful for weeks. But we just had a moment. All it takes, because they built a 20-game cushion, they're 20 games over 500. They built such a big cushion in the first half of the season. The Yankees had a moment. All it was going to take was one moment to turn the season around. They had that moment on Saturday. So you go into Sunday and all you need is a win. You win a series for the first time in 6 series. You win a series for the first time in the month. You win back-to-back games for the first time in almost a month. You right the ship. You get the season back on track. All of a sudden, you beat your heated rival. You did it on Sunday Night Baseball with a national audience. And what happens? Luis Gil comes out and shoves. He dominates. And the Yankees offense was lifeless. This is what happens to bad teams. When one part of your team is doing well, the other part struggles. When the other part plays well, they struggle. We talked about this earlier in the season with the Mets. That's how bad teams find ways to lose. And the Yankees right now are finding ways to lose. And this is the worst loss. You had an opportunity. And not only this kid who struggled, his last 4 starts, Luis Gil finally comes out. He's dominant. He's crushing the Red Sox, your bitter rival. And guess what? Rafael Devers got up there and shoved the middle finger to the entire Yankee organization and to the entire Yankee fan base and said, I own you. I'm better than you. 16 home runs in Yankee Stadium ties Big Papi. I saw his first ever home run in Yankee Stadium in person. It was off Aroldis Chapman in the 9th inning to tie a game and send it to extra innings. I remember that game. What was that? Maybe 2015, 16? Devers was like 19 years old. Yeah, I remember being there. I was sitting behind the Yankee dugout. This is pathetic. They pitch to him. He crushes them. And Garrett Cole, I'm big Garrett Cole. I'm mad that you taunted me. Shut up, Garrett Cole. Make a better pitch. Beat him. You can't. Rafael Devers owns Garrett Cole. And by the way, don't look now. Boston's going to be in a playoff spot. They might jump the Yankees by the time this is all said and done. You want to play them in a wild card round? I don't. So if the Yankees rally in the second half just to lose to Boston in the wild card series, it's going to be like, well, we really like how we turned it on in the second half. No, enough. This is over. I've seen enough of this. This entire Yankee regime from 2017, everything that's happened from 2017, this is the breaking point. This is the worst loss the Yankees have had since 2017, since the beginning of the Baby Bombers, Aaron Judge, Aaron Boone era Yankees. This is by far the worst loss because you had a season to erase a month. You had one game. All you had to do to erase a month of struggles, to erase a month of bad play, to erase a month of miscues in the infield, excuses being made by the manager, poor pitching performances, guys just literally with their heads anywhere but on the game, not focused. Awful, just awful baseball. You had one game to erase all of that. And you came out and you only saw 33 pitches in the first 4 innings. They just laid down. It's like, all right, Cutter Crawford, do whatever the fuck you want. We're just going to sit here. Just run us over, Red Sox. Luis Gil gave you everything. Gave you a dominant performance. He gave up the home run at the end. So what? That was the backbreaker, the one home run. It shouldn't have gotten to that point. And they should have intentionally walked Devers. No, you shouldn't have been at that point where it's 0-0 still. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. And to sit and have to watch it on Sunday Night Baseball with everyone watching and hear the god-awful ESPN broadcast, my God, please just shoot me. It was so painful. everything about it, and they just went meekly. Never even put up a fight, that Yankee team. Never put up a fight. Because that's what this team is. They're soulless. They don't fight. They're like their manager. That's what it is. And I said this on last episode. It's not his fault. But sometimes you have to make a drastic move. It's a Monday today. Sometimes you have to make a drastic move just for the sake of change. I can't even talk. I'm furious. The Yankees now haven't won a game, haven't won a series. They've lost 7 consecutive series. They haven't won back-to-back games since June 11th and 12th. They're 6-16 in their last 22 games. I'm sorry. This is not a fluke. This is a month now of god-awful baseball and excuses and poor base running. A staple. Friday night, that is a staple. Lazy plays, bad IQ. Do these guys not play Little League? I don't understand. Have these guys not played Little League? Everyone who's played Little League knows what to do in that situation. Whether it's Volpe not hustling, whether it's DJ not getting hung up long enough. Everyone knows what to do in that spot. And these guys can't figure it out. And there's apparently some confusion. Aaron Boone giving them more excuses. At some point, it has to end. At some point, you have to hold someone accountable. And this Yankee team lacks all accountability. And guess what? I don't care who it is. Cut someone, fire someone, do something. It's not just going to flip on its own. It's not just going to change because you're going to say that it's going to change. So someone tweeted this out today, and I love Dan, but the fate of the Yankees team seemingly relies on Giancarlo Stanton. They're 52-27 with him and 3-10 without him. Okay, Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah, that's what's going to change everything. The guy who never runs. And the guy, so he lengthened the lineup a little bit. I'm not saying he wouldn't help, and those numbers are jarring, but this team and their downfall started before Giancarlo. Remember, 6-16 in their last, right? 6-16 in their last 22 games. So this fall started before Giancarlo got hurt. It's not all about Giancarlo Stanton. If you think this is all about Giancarlo Stanton, you haven't been watching the Yankees for the last 8 years. It's about a team that doesn't run the bases well, doesn't field well, isn't disciplined. And right now, when you look at this team, where are the good players? They need a better catcher. They need a better second baseman. They need a better third baseman. Their shortstop's giving them nothing right now. So is their left fielder giving them nothing right now. Their relievers suck. They don't have a closer. And outside of their ace, who has been iffy because he has been injured, who else are their starting pitchers? I guess Luis Gil's back, and Nestor looked good too. That's what's going on with this team. There's no one good. So you know what? Make the freaking decision now. You brought in Juan Soto for this to be the all-in year. Go for it. I don't care. Sometimes you have to lose trades. And this is the problem with Brian Cashman. Brian Cashman is so concerned. Oh, I'm going to lose a trade. I'm going to give up Spencer Jones. And then in 3 years, when he's playing really well for another team, if he's so good, call him up or punt. If that's when we're going to be good, if that's the window, if we want the window to be when Spencer Jones is on this team, then trade Juan Soto. Then why are we trying to win now? Trade Juan Soto. Trade away some of these guys. Get younger. Enough. Trade Glaber. Trade LeMahieu. Trade Rizzo. Get whatever you can. Trade Verdugo. We're playing for the future. We're playing for the Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez era. So let's go. Send these guys out of here. Enough. And if you're playing for this year and you're serious about winning this year, then make some tough decisions. Go all in. Actually try and win this year. You have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Garrett Cole in their primes. No other team in baseball has that trio in their primes. But everything around them stinks. You want to be serious about winning? Go make the right moves. And also make a move that's going to be a gut punch to the dugout. Everyone loves Boone. Everyone cares about that man. He's a good dude. I like him. All Yankee fans like him for the most part as a person. The players love him. Fire his ass. That's what will wake this team up. Nothing has gotten through this team, and clearly he doesn't get through to this team. As much as they might like him, he doesn't get through to them on a level of just discipline and understanding. Because clearly these guys, not only can they not be taught and they don't learn from their mistakes, they're forgetting things that every basic Little League kid learns when they're 12 years old. And these guys can't do that. And then they get excused for it in the postgame. Why? Why are you're insulting the intelligence of Yankee fans when you lie to them like this? It's pathetic. It's stupid. It's It's mind-boggling, and it's been happening for too long. It's enough. I've seen enough of this. I've seen enough of this manager. I've seen enough of all of it. Clean house. I'm sorry. I've never been more on the side of clean house. I thought going into look, I really thought Sunday they could just turn the season around. We could erase all of it. And this team doesn't understand the significance of getting up for one game. You have your chance. This kid, Ben Rice, got you off the deck, and you have one chance to right the ship. And again, they failed. Again. I since the beginning of 17, I haven't been this furious with the team. I know 21 was tough, 22 the second half was tough, 23 sucked. And I've gone back and talked about this so many times, but when you take out the beginning of 22, since 2020, this team has been a mediocre team. Now you can take out the beginning of 24 also. So we have two 2-month stretches, the beginning of 2022 and the beginning of 2024, where this team was really good. But the vast majority of those seasons, 22, 21, 23, 24, 4 seasons. Outside of 4 months of those 4 seasons, this has been a mediocre baseball team with bad management, bad base running, bad fundamentals, bad defense, and a bad work ethic and attitude. So I had a piece on the Mets too. My God. I can't like I'm so fed up with it. I'm done with it. Like at some point, you look at a team and it's like, well, Rami, they're 19 games over 500 still, so they still should be fine. But it's just a rough stretch. No, it's don't tell me that my eyes aren't seeing what they're seeing. Yeah, it was an incredible run to start the season, and that was awesome, and it covered a lot of the warts. I don't know what to tell you. This team is plummeting so fast. And by the way, if they make it, so what? So they'll make a wild card. Oh, they're still in a wild card spot. They're right there. What's a wild card spot good if they keep playing like this? If the same things that have happened for the last 8 years keep happening with this team, they're not winning anything. It's enough. Like making the playoffs is cute, cool. We're the Yankees. We're not trying to make the playoffs. You have Garrett Cole in his prime, Juan Soto in his prime, Aaron Judge in his prime. You're trying to win a championship, and everything around it is not championship caliber. And that includes the manager, includes Garrett Cole. His attitude. That attitude is not a winning attitude. I'm sorry. Getting just so messed up over being taunted by Rafael Devers. He crushes you consistently. He has every right to walk all over you. He has every right to toss the bat and slow trot when he crushes you all the freaking time. Make a better pitch. Beat him. I don't know what to tell you, Garrett Cole. Stop crying about it. So yeah, again, I don't know what to say. This is a story that came out about the Mets. Smooth transition. Francisco Lindor and Brandon Nimmo have been paying for the Mets team dinners over the last several road trips per Will Salmon, I guess his name is. This is from SNY. During their trip to Washington, which was later than expected due to a rain delay. I was at that game in the previous afternoon. Nimmo rented out the conference room at their DC hotel and ordered food for everyone. Nimmo said, I was like, you know what? It would be good for us to just take them out to a big league dinner, all of us together. It's on me or Francisco. Francisco and I as leaders, just getting the guys together more and worrying about the other guys a little bit more. Don't get me wrong, I still have to take care of what I'm doing, but I've had a lot of time here now, so it's trying to pass that on to the next guys and help in any way that you can. I can't read. My eyes are so bad and this font is too small. The team dinners are said to have been 100% attended. So basically, the two leaders of the team, Nimmo and Lindor, the guys who have stepped forward as leaders, not Alonso, by the way, have these two guys step forward as leaders, definitely not McNeil, and have decided that we're going to do more team bonding things. We're going to bring this team closer together. And you see it happening with this Mets team. It's truly awesome. And by the way, that was also the night that Nimmo obviously fell after that team dinner. It must have been that night. So who knows what they ate for that team dinner, because that was the night that Nimmo hit his head. So I don't know. Interesting timeline. Conspiracy brain going off right about now. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about the Mets, and this is interesting, and when I looked it up, the numbers don't really bear it out, but last year they were hovering around 500 around this time of the year. And then obviously I just blow it up, right? Because They were hovering around 500. They had Verlander, they had Scherzer. It was like, oh no, this team is terrible. We got to blow it up. What's interesting is now all Mets fans, myself included, are clamoring for them to make moves to buy at the deadline. And I'm not sure they're going to, because maybe this organization already told us what they are. If we're around 500, if we're within a couple of games of a wild card spot, they were within 2 games of Arizona last year at the trade deadline. And obviously, Arizona went on a run and the Mets went the other direction, but the Mets decided to sell. They were only within a few games of Arizona at that point. So, my point is that while it's really nice what the Mets have done, if they are 500 in the month of July, and really you don't have a ton of games left because the All-Star break, you don't have a ton of games left before you get to the trade deadline, I'm not sure this regime is going to be buyers at the deadline. As much as we might want them to invest in this team and go for it, this team clearly is, hey, we're going to build a championship caliber team the right way. And that might mean selling off JD. That might mean selling off Severino. That might mean selling off Pete Alonso. The Mets regime might look at this run. If it doesn't get to the point where they're firmly in a playoff spot and they're 5 to 10 games over 500, if they don't play great baseball for the next couple of weeks, I don't think this regime is going to buy, because last year they had a chance. You wouldn't think, well, we have Scherzer, we have Verlander, we could turn it around. We could still go on a run. I know, obviously, you had the issues in the bullpen and Diaz was out, and it felt worse than it did this year. It felt like it felt in May of this year with the Mets, and that happened in June. So it's more of like it was a more recent thing, that swoon. But you almost felt like, oh, maybe let's just go for it. Let's add a couple of pieces. We're right there. And the Mets organization decided, no, we're not going for it. We're not right there. This is not happening. We've seen too much bad baseball. We're blowing it up. Now, this Mets team is playing well closer to the time of the trade deadline, but that's my point, that if they continue to hover, right, the last week or two has just been kind of 500. They had that great, terrible stretch in May, great stretch in June, and now they've been hovering. If they continue to hover, I don't think the Mets make the moves to buy at the deadline. I actually think they sell at the deadline, just based on the team's history. Oh, well, David Stearns wasn't running things. David Stearns was unemployed last year and was already in Steve Cohen's year. And if you don't believe that, I'm sorry. Steve Cohen, he probably wasn't doing things 100% by the books. If you've seen Billions, like, if he's that guy, it's supposed to be based on him, where he's this maniacal guy who's making shrewd decisions. I'm sure he was already using David Stearns. The fact that the guy was hired immediately after, he was rumored to them the entire time, I'm sure he was already using him as advice. David Stearns was probably saying, hey, you get some prospects if you eat some of these contracts and trade them away. I could see the Mets doing and going down a similar path this year. And as much as that would suck, because the Mets have been fun right now, right? The Mets have been fun lately, and this has been a good team and an easy team to root for. It might be the right decision ultimately to just say, okay, look, at the end of the day, this is a fun run, and maybe we don't try and totally break apart this team and we don't try and tear it all down, but we're not going to invest future assets into this current team. We don't believe that this is about a 500 team that might sneak into a wild card spot. Now, I told you that as a Mets fan, that would be a huge win, considering where you were at the start of the season, considering how bad May was, considering your expectations for this year. I think just making the playoffs, especially for a team like the Mets that doesn't make the playoffs every year, this is different than the Yankees. I think that's a big win, but the front office might look at that as, sneaking into the playoffs into a wild card spot, what's it really worth? And they probably are right, because guess what? As much as we love to talk about last year's Arizona Diamondbacks, they're the fluke. They're the oddity. And look at them this year. They stink again this year. So it's almost like if the Mets continue to have, if they can go on a nice run here, and they can, I'm not saying they can't, trade, upgrade the team at the deadline. But if they're still hovering in about 3 weeks, I expect this Mets front office to actually make the right moves for the future and the long-term future of this franchise. And that would mean to sell. And I'm just telling you that right now, just be prepared for that, because it won't take them playing poorly for that to happen. I don't think the Mets need to be, 10 games under 500 in their next. It's not even that many games. I don't know. How many games do the Mets have before the trade deadline? I should have looked this up beforehand, but let's find out. exactly what's going on right here. So the Mets schedule looks a little bit like this. Going into the trade deadline, which I think is August 1st or July 31st, which is an off day. August 1st is for the Mets. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 games. 20 if you include today, which is in the bottom of the fourth as we speak. 20 games remaining for the Mets to the side, including today. So if they go 5-15, then obviously they're going to sell. But my point is, even if they go 10-10 in these games, I think that Met fans might have to come to grips with the fact that the right move is to sell. Because last year they had Verlander, they had Scherzer, they had the theoretical better team. They had a team that could have gone for it. They were trying to go for it before the season started. They were the 101 win Mets the year before, right? So my point is that there's a real possibility that this team is still where they're at right now and they decide to punt on the rest of the season. And that would suck. And I'm not saying punt. I'm just saying maybe not improve the team, not sacrifice the future for the betterment of this year's team, not go for it fully. I just want Met fans to be prepared for that. I think that's a real possibility. All right. It's going to do it for me. I'm pissed still about the Yankees. Like, subscribe. I'm so happy they're off today. Like, every time they don't play, it's just like a relief. I don't have to watch them. But like, subscribe, share the podcast. If you go in the link below, there are these super cool hats from Huga House. And you could buy them. They keep coming out with new styles and new things. So check them out. Huga House. Use code Rami, RAMI, for 15% off your first order. It helps support the podcast. Again, if you like, subscribe, you keep posting these, sharing these. It really helps me. So I appreciate it. And until next time, see ya.